Hi you guys, so before we start this video, I just want to give you a quick disclaimer. I pronounced the word cincher wrong for the entire duration of this video. I said kincher and that's not correct. It's pronounced cincher. Nobody ever corrected me on this until I posted this video on Instagram, so I do apologize, and hopefully you're able to look past that and still gain some valuable insight and information and knowledge on the science of waist training. And if you are, of course, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, share, and let's get right into it. Hi you guys, so this is the science of waist training explained, where I will be using my knowledge of biomedical and integrative biology, exercise, and applied sciences to explain the science of waist training. Alright, so let's get right into it. I'm going to try to make everything simple and use analogies so that you guys can better understand what I'm saying. So there's 3 levels to waist training. You got sweatbands, waist cinchers, and corsets. I actually don't own a corset, so I'll try to post a picture right there. It's going to be right there, so you can see what a corset is. Alright, so sweatbands. Sweatbands are basically insulators. They insulate heat around the midsection to get the temperature high enough to start to pull water from the muscle fibers in the midsection, right? So what does this mean? A great analogy. It's the 4th of July, you're getting ready to eat some meat, you're seasoning your ribs, right? You got some big, fat, juicy ribs, they're fresh, you're getting ready to put them on the grill. When you put a piece of meat on the grill, what automatically starts happening? It starts to cook. The heat from the grill starts to make the water from the meat evaporate, or it starts to pull the water from the muscle fibers in the meat, right? Now, if you ever cook meat, what you know is fat does not evaporate like water, okay? Water starts to evaporate instantly with the application of heat, but fat, it takes a little high, the temperature has to be a little higher in order for it to actually start melting that fat off. And that's the same thing with your body. Now, you can't get that temperature that high because you actually start to cook yourself, right? But in order to get that fat percentage down in your body, all you got to do is start eating right, all right? So that your body isn't storing so much fat, especially around that midsection. That's why your trainer is always telling you that waist trainer ain't doing nothing for you. That waist trainer it's only helping you with bloating and stuff. They're right. Your trainer's telling you right. It's literally only helping you pull a little water out your body from around your midsection just by getting that temperature a little bit higher around that area. Moving on. Waist cinchers. This is a waist cinchers. Basically, it has those the cinching effect. I don't know. So the way waist cinchers work, of course, they have that same insulating feature that sweatbands have, but they have a little bit of the same methods that corsets do. Whereas I call cinchers the cast and corsets the exoskeleton. Why do I call cinchers the cast? Okay, so say you sprain or you break your arm, right? And you get a cast on this arm, you ain't got one on this arm. You wear this that cast for a period of time, and then when you take the cast off, what do you notice? This arm is noticeably smaller in size than that arm, right? And why is that? Because the muscles in that arm haven't been used because they've been restricted by a cast, all right? So it's weakened those muscles and it's giving them a smaller appearance. Basically, that's the same thing with cinchers and corsets, whereas with cinchers, you won't be using 100% of your muscles won't be performing at 100% capacity as they were before. They'll probably be performing at maybe 80, 75, depending on how tight you want to wear your cinchers. Cinchers definitely don't have the same amount of bones that corsets do. They're not as restricting, so you can still move, you can still work out in these, but you definitely can't work out in corsets because they are super restricting. They have those steel bones. They're literally meant for you to be, restricted, constricted, whichever one is the best word. Okay, so the goal with cinchers is basically to, get down to that last row, and if you want, go down in size. If you want, go ahead and graduate to corsets. corset training. Corset is the most extreme level of waist training, whereas you see some people even go to the extremes to whereas it becomes dangerous. All right, it becomes dangerous because corsets, for one, they have the cinching effect, but they also have the ribbons in the back, and people just go smaller and smaller and smaller in size to get the effect that they want. One thing I like to point out is when people start waist training to those extremes, what you don't see is really super defined abs. All right, why? Because that really wasn't. It's really kind of counterproductive to what shrinking your waist means in a sense. Okay, that's why I'm really confused to when I see people doing weighted abs or weighted oblique exercises, because common sense tells you that if you want to grow a muscle, what are you going to do? Apply pressure, apply stress. That's how you grow muscle. So if you're not trying to grow your abdomen, why would you be applying more stress or applying more pressure or doing weighted exercises? Body weight ab exercises is enough. Your main focus should be getting that body fat percentage down, because we all have abs under our fat, with our fat ass. Right. So with corsets, basically it gets dangerous because people will wear them for these extended periods of time, and they'll be so tight to whereas literally the midsection, the muscles in your midsection aren't getting little to no activity level. They're rarely being stimulated. Okay, and when that happens is they grow weaker and weaker and weaker to the point where this exoskeleton, which I refer to it as the exoskeleton, is basically serving as your main system of support and protection, which is basically what exoskeleton means. A skeleton does what? Supports and protects. And then exo means outside. So you basically got your outside support and protection instead of your inner skeleton, your regular skeleton. And what that does is it weakens the abdominal muscle so much to whereas you literally can't support your own body weight without wearing that exoskeleton, and that's when it becomes dangerous. So what does that mean? Everything in moderation. All right, everything in moderation. Even when you're working out, moderation. Do things to whereas it feels healthy for you, comfortable for you. You know your limits more than anybody. And the only way you'll get results with this is to be consistent. But please remember that if you go from wearing a waist trainer 8+ hours a day and then you abruptly stop, your waist will eventually snap back, because once you start engaging and using those muscles once again, they won't be weak anymore. They'll start back growing and growing back into the places that they stopped growing before. That doesn't mean don't, graduate to corset training. Of course, if that's what you want to do it. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. I just always want you guys to be safe. Do everything in moderation. So I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's go over some key points. Pulling water from those muscle fibers, not fat. Fat does not evaporate like water. They require 2 different temperatures to melt. Fat melts, water evaporates. But in order for you to melt the fat off, not really melting off, in order for you to burn that fat off, you literally gotta diet correctly. There's no way around that unless you're getting liposuction and they're literally sucking it out of you. You have to diet correctly to get that fat, lower that body fat percentage. Waist training, basically at its extremes, it does start to deteriorate the muscle once you are literally not using it or using it so little so that your body relies on an exoskeleton for support. Be safe, everything in moderation. You can work out in sweatbands and waist cinchers as long as you have room, but corsets have so many bones in them that it's so restricting that it's almost impossible to work out them. I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, and I think that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something and took something from this. If you guys have any questions or concerns or even recommendations, if you've been training and you've seen results from it, or if you didn't see results from it, let us know below. Just at the end of the day, if you want to see any results with anything you do, you got to be consistent. So that's all I got, and that's just the science. No biased opinion. It's literally just the science of how muscle shaping works. Peace.